Welcome, all my noble men and ladies, to some would say the podcast for the peasants, but we just like to be called the Real Sharks Podcast, the Real Talking Throne Show, the show that gives you all the play-by-play of the real big Sunday night event, which is the Game of Thrones. And yes, we are going to be talking about episode 2 of House of Dragon, or House of the Dragon. I like
Yeah,
just saying House of Dragon. I know it's
me
House of the
too.
Dragon. I just don't
House
like to
of
say House of Dragon.
House of Dragons a little easier off the
It is
tongue.
quicker.
Yeah,
So if you guys are, I don't want to hear any comments going,
it's House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon. It's like House of Dragon just sounds easier to me.
Yeah,
So whatever. Anyway, so I thought today we would discuss episode 2 because a lot happened, and our predictions were right. Of course, we told you about some of the things that were going to happen in the episodes, such as Sir Kristen Cole, Daemon, Sir Otto. There was a lot of stuff we told you about, but I decided to break out the
oh, the
lore book
tome.
today. Yep, and basically give all you fans some more of the insider knowledge of the books. So it's really interesting, Steve. So what did you think of this first episode? Well, actually, let me, if you don't mind, let me go ahead and go first. I actually thought it was really good, and I actually like it so far. Of course, it's what we like to call a lot of filler, no killer. Although there was, it had its moments. The dragon standoff was pretty epic. Like that was cool for what it was. Um, I liked it a lot because so far the dynamics of the show is correct towards the book. Very, very close. I
Yeah,
mean, loose in some sense, but close on another. For example, like, I didn't really mention this too much in our first episode because I wanted to see how it play out more, but the dynamic between Rhaenyra and Alicent being friends is interesting because as you know, it didn't really happen in the book. It just says that, she knew of her from court. They were friendly at court. That's all it really says in the
yeah,
book, that they were just kind of so with each other. It didn't say like, they were best friends or buddy buddy or went to the sept together or anything like that. It just said they kind of like knew each other, and she knew her kids and vice versa. But
right.
I like the dynamic of her being this her best friend, and I like this whole right now of and I would like to also mention too, out of the book that Rhaenyra was perfectly fine with her father actually marrying Alicent, like I said, but I like the twist here they got in the show of where it's like, yeah, I said you can marry anybody, just not my best friend. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah,
So but they still used it to spur Corlys, which I thought was which is still in the book. I mean, this really does happen. So the dynamic is there, and that's why this show so far, if people are really really enjoying it, it's because it's the book. It's really more off the book than anything. I mean, the problem with the original seasons where they were, they weren't finished. That story's not finished. That's the problem with it. The dance has been finished, so people can go back and kind of add whatever they want to it. But Steve, what did you think of episode 2?
yeah. I liked it. The Rogue Prince. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's just the weirdness about me, a little nerdy, but kind of felt like, man, they're calling it the Rogue Prince so early. Maybe they're trying to get people into the show. So you know what I mean? Like, all right, let's just go with these hard hitting titles. But the show itself was cool. I thought it was all right. I watched it twice just to go back to see if it was as solid as the first watch, like I did the first episode. And it was good. It was good, Rob. They did do a lot of things that, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about that weren't really into the books. I went back and I checked and I was like, that
Yeah.
wasn't, but it wasn't bad that that they did it. It just wasn't really, I'm like, I don't remember this part, but for good reason. But yeah, the whole thing about like, uh, what's her face, Rhaenyra being like, you're marrying my best
Upset,
friend.
yeah.
I'm out of here, type of thing, and it's like, well, it's either her or a 12-year-old child. So
But that,
in show
but
sense,
that was interesting because he did also go against, and this is like kind of what's
yeah,
interesting about Viserys, which I think is actually a I think they made him pretty good, to be honest with you. At
yeah,
first I was a little unsure, but it makes sense, and the reason I say unsure is because he is kind of an unsure king his whole reign, really. I mean, he's kind of a guy that's like, I really don't know what to do. I mean,
He's
he's
like a
almost
half in the bag king, right? He's just like
right.
1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like he sometimes rules kind of like, oh, okay, that's a kingish thing. And then like sometimes, yeah, he's like pondering to himself in the book, like, I don't really know if this is the right decision, which is, yeah, I'm fine with that.
And it's interesting because that's clear of a more dynamic of, a person who surrounds themselves with people who know things. But what's also interesting, and this is actually, I think, good writing, whether they knew that they were doing this or not. The small council throughout the history of the books in Game of Thrones is borderline corrupts the king. I mean, it's to the point of where sometimes the council rules over the king itself. And you'll actually see this with who will become the next king after all the dance is done. I mean, he gets ruled by the council until he's literally comes of age, which is Aegon the Third. But um it's interesting because you see Sir Otto and everyone now trying to basically, and they didn't really do this in the book, but it's good because it wasn't like said in the book, but it was hinted at. Because like I like it though. I like how Sir Otto is a little bit more conniving about everything, like how he pushes Alicent to kind of get to know the king. I mean, he's more like Tywin, which is the one of the things I'm a little disappointed about because they kind of recycled Tywin in another outfit. I mean, he kind of even
Mm-hmm.
he sounds like him too.
Kind of sound, yeah. Now that
He
you say
sound
it,
he
sounds like
sounds
him.
like him, looks like him. I mean,
He's got
he's kind of like,
mannerisms like him a little bit.
but in a way, it kind of it works, And also, I want to talk about Masari, who's basically, as we saw in the book, I mean, as we saw in the show, she was Daemon was presenting her as his bride, but she obviously didn't know it. And we had this huge standoff between Rhaenyra with her dragon and Daemon with his, and it's interesting because this girl in the book plays more of a bigger role. She's actually becomes Damon's kind of Queen of Whispers, or like Master of Whispers. Actually, she's known as like the I mean, I'm looking at it right here in the book. She's known as they call her Misery, the White Worm. Later, she becomes Damon's Mistress of Whispers. That's what it says right here in the context of
Mm.
the book. So it's going to be interesting to see if this plays out a little more with her. But it seems so far they're kind of keeping her character to a pretty simplistic role.
Yeah,
'Cause
definitely.
yeah. Um, let's see here. I think it's going to be interesting in the coming up show how they're going to go into the. I actually have to apologize to my audience. I actually referred to them wrong. They're not called the Three Sisters. They're actually called the Three Daughters. That is actually the name of the islands that they're actually going to fight, or as they call them too, the what they're calling them, the Stepstones in there.
Yeah.
Um, that's what they call them, but it's actually a alliance between Lys, Mirs, and Tyrosh. That's who this basically triad is. That's who this guy, the crab beater, is basically the self-proclaimed king of. What did you think about the way they got the crab beater looking like, Steve? I mean, they said he's a
Yeah.
prince, which is interesting, but
Right. Yeah.
I'm not so sure I'm happy with the way he looked. I expected more of a piratey look, maybe. I guess. Maybe that's just because my
Kind
own
of. And
my
it kind of looks like
expectations.
that.
But he just looks like some kind of like,
Pirates of the
island
Caribbean.
island Pirates of the Caribbean
That's
kind
what I
of
was
guy.
thinking, dude. I felt like is he part of what's his face's crew in the Black Pearl? You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
escaped somehow. That's what I was thinking, bro. Like that's just my whole opinion. Like but I don't know how I feel. Like it's not like I hate it, but I also didn't love it either. Like it was cool. I liked how there was the whole crab. He's feeding him to the crab. You see it.
Right.
That was visceral and very cool. But yeah, Rob, like when they call him a prince and oh, we need to get, Viserys is like, this is a problem. We need to deal with this. I don't know, Rob. I don't know how I feel too much
Yes.
about him.
Lear, Mir, and Tyrosh. That's the alliance, and they're actually against Volantis, which was mentioned, and we visited in the original seasons. So that's who actually this is. They're kind of going against. They have them more like it's against Driftmark, but it's actually more against Volantis. These guys are like kind of trying to conquer the Stepstones here to become like their own entity within the world of Game of Thrones here, or Westeros, I should say. I should say. So like Corlys's concerns are true about if these guys do take over these islands, like they're gonna suffer because they never really point this out either, and they made it seem like Daemon had to take a huge like trip to Driftmark. It's like right next to Dragonstone. Like literally, it's like a stone's throw away. Like
Yeah.
he probably walked there. To be honest with you, I mean, it's not even that far away. But I love the way Corlys is presented. I love the actor who plays him so far. I
Yes.
think he's really, really
He's
good.
making the character.
Yeah, that would be, I believe it's Steve uh, Toussaint. Toussaint. He is brilliant. I want to give him a big shout out for that. You are making this character. Like I was very, very concerned on how the show would play this out, but so far it's very good. I like it a lot. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like the controversy too. With of course, with him being black was I was like, oh god, I don't want to hear this again. But I'm so glad you have a performance that shouldn't even come into question anymore. It shouldn't even matter. This guy he's the Lord of Driftmark.
Yeah, do you think people are getting their? I mean, they were saying that at the beginning, the first episode and stuff. But do you think that people care anymore now that he kind of gave a great performance in this one? It was almost all him. He was like the man who was making things happen, challenging the king. You know what I mean? Just doing a bunch of stuff, and I felt like, yeah, it was showcasing this actor to be like he's gonna own this Valerian character here.
Right. I don't know, Steve. It's a good question. I think so because I knew everybody who I know who I talk to the show about outside. That's all they can talk about is his performance. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been transcendent. He's the one that's to stand out. He's standing out among everybody.
Yeah.
Um, but I also wanted to get into what is really interesting, and this is going to be a real Sharks prediction, foreshadowing, whatever you want to say, our audience. So we have Sir Crispin Cole here. I can't. I always never know if it's Kristen Cole, Crispin Cole. I always call him both names. I don't. I just don't know why. Because basically, we're always reading the book. I always get like confused. I'm like,
Same.
is it Crispin, Kristen? What is it?
Yeah,
Crispin, Crispy,
Christian
Crispy,
Glover, Crispy.
Crispy, Sir Golden Crispy. Okay, so Sir Kristen Cole, we saw sorry, we saw Rhaenyra basically choose him as her personal Kingsguard, which is actually what happens. But it's interesting too because Rhaenyra, a lot like Dany, does things for her own personal needs too, if you get what I'm saying. And Sir Kristen Cole will actually play kind of an interesting role. It's going to be interesting, I should
Yeah.
say, whether they're going to make his character more prominent or not in the show, because in the book he essentially is, spoilers our audience, he's Rhaenyra's lover in some sense. However, though, he is a knight that's like a goody two shoe. He's supposed to be a guy that's a grandstanding, I can't, forsake my vows kind of thing. And
Yeah,
he
he's like a
basically,
Stark a little bit, kinda.
right. And he spurs Rhaenyra at first. And this is how Rhaenyra and Daemon actually, spoilers again, kind of become a little bit closer, so to say, wink, wink in the Targaryen way. You know what I mean? When two dragons love each other very much, you know, but
When two
still,
dragons love each other really, really much.
right. Right. You know what we mean, our audience. And that's actually kind of what happens. That's where supposedly Mushroom comes into the mix, but we'll see if they
Apparently,
even.
Mushroom. I did see a spoiler for anybody. Mushroom is not planned in the series. That
Ah,
sucks.
Steve, why did you kill it for everybody?
But I don't know. I kind of feel like they're joking with people. Maybe we might
What
see.
if what if, just real quick, our audience off pace, what if at the very end of all this, the Dance of Dragons, you see Mushroom just basically riding in like Tyrion, he's like, I was Mushroom the entire time writing this, and that was the Dance of Dragons. Might as well,
Yeah.
after everything.
Just get Peter Dinklage to just play Mushroom. That would be funny.
Right. But back to Sir Crispin Cole. Crispy Cole, Sir Golden Crispy. So basically, the guy spurns Rhaenyra, but apparently, according to the book and all the accounts, because this is how it's written in the book, Daemon shows Rhaenyra in the ways of love, so she can actually basically seduce Sir Crispin Cole, and Rhaenyra's children, let's just say, she pulls kind of a Cersei here a little bit in her later years. We saw in the previews they were showing like, I have no one, and then the king's yelling at her like, you're gonna have a kid yourself. So it's interesting on whose kid it's gonna be. Because
Right.
spoilers, our audience, again, this is a spoiler show, so I might as well stop telling you that, because this is for the true Game of Thrones fans that read the book and watch the show and don't care because we know what's coming. Basically, Rhaenyra has kind of a mixed bag of children, basically by different fathers, basically.
Different
They don't,
dudes, yeah.
yeah, you don't know whether one's Sir Crispin Cole's or Damon's or basically she has quite a few lovers in the book, but those are the two prominent ones that are really and I mean prominent. I mean those are pretty much the only two that we know of. I don't know whether they'll add more in the show. We'll see, but it's going to be interesting whether they play that dynamic out between her and Sir Crispin Cole. Um, because right now you got Matt Smith, who he's amazing. Damon. Actually, I was unsure about him, but so far I like his performance as
He's
Damon.
great. Yeah, he's good.
They're gonna go to the Stepstones and wage a war. Obviously, you saw that in the trailer, and we know it's coming. But we're gonna tell you also it's coming. Now, what's interesting is how they're gonna play this out, because in the book it kind of points out that Damon basically just runs over all these guys. It don't matter who they are. In the show, it seems like they make it more of a struggle, which I think is a better choice. But for the most part, though, and I want to see if this is gonna how it's gonna play out, Steve. Maybe that Damon basically doesn't really come, right away to the Stepstones, and he kind of lets Corlys that's why you hear the whole "we're losing" and all that. It's like
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't show up for a while, but then when Damon comes, he just
I
runs
mean,
over everybody. Yeah, because
yeah.
he has a fucking dragon. Let's just be honest here. He
And
has
what was the last line you heard in the teaser? I don't know if you saw that, Rob. They yell out "dragon" after the
dragon.
war was happening. So I'm thinking you're right on that.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be this whole maybe Damon's not going to, because I think he's going to be like, well, should I do it? Should I not do it? Kind of thing. And I
Because this
think
is a line, dude, for him in the show at least.
it technically is a line, but like Corliss was telling him, this is an opportunity for you to prove to yourself and carve out, anything that all doubters put them aside,
Yeah.
because he basically, does well, and we've been telling you this, our audience, he carves out his own kingdom in the Stepstones. But the problem with the Stepstones is it's a piece of shit. Like the
Yeah.
triarchy, they're ruling. There's a reason they're doing nothing but feeding people to crabs, because that's all the shit they can do. Crabs are like the only thing on these islands, basically.
Yeah.
They are they are basically, like what a wise Bolt once said, bunch of shit stained fucking rocks. That's what they basically are. And if you don't know you know who I'm referring to, right, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who that is, comment down below on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, get your Ironborn back to those shit stain covered. So what was interesting is like I liked the showdown between Cyrax and Caraxes. I like Caraxes, Steve. I know you were kind of unsure about it, but I like how he's different. I like it when the dragons are a tad different. I mean, of course, Rhaenyra's looks traditional like the original seasons of Game of Thrones, but Caraxes, man, he looks the bloodworm, as he's called. He's described in the book as huge and formidable. Um, I think he looks cool. I like the way he sounds. He's got that weird, like squeaky kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's got the one eye. I mean, he's really freaky. That's why I think it's cool. I mean, that's why I like when Sir Otto sees him. He's like, "Shield the fucking steel." I thought that, or yeah, I
Yeah.
was
That
like,
was a great line.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was like,
It's just
yeah.
like put those damn things away
Because
before we
what
all
was
die.
interesting, and of course this is good writing and good tension building by Game of Thrones, is that whole scene. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna go down. But then I was like, oh yeah, he has a fucking dragon. You're not gonna do shit to him, basically.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
I liked the throwdown between him, and Rhaenyra in the manner of, I guess you could say, dialogue. I thought that was very necessary and needed to be said in the show because that's basically the main tension here. And you're gonna kind of, I think they're trying to build this dynamic, and I like Daemon as a character. I really hope they don't kind of go this direction, but I feel like they're gonna make Daemon kind of a, you know, um, he gets any way to the throne he can. And he kind of does do that in a sense in the book, but he kind of tires up. He kind of like is like, you know what? This is how it is.
Yeah, doesn't he just accept it? That's what I thought too, Rob. I can't remember too much, but I don't
He
remember him
does
going
accept it.
full on like
Well,
that's what I'm
he becomes king of the Stepstones. Spoilers, of
right.
course.
Yeah.
And he presents his crown though to his brother.
His brother. And then
But
that's
once
kind of it.
Viserys finds that him and Rhaenyra are messing around, he basically exiles his brother again. So we're gonna see basically our audience probably a story kind of like where Daemon goes and fights the Stepstones, leaves, comes back again, continues the war, comes back again, and
Yeah.
that's basically kind of the order that he takes in the book as well.
It's a 5 season show, so they're I think they're gonna take their time with it, but
Yeah,
I do feel like, yeah, Rob, like I don't want them to make a mistake to kind of make him a character that he's not. Like they're going good,
right.
but this is not
He's the
Game of Thrones.
anti-hero so far.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that in that Corlys scene where he's talking to him and kind of boosting him up, like we got to go to the Stepstone, take out these crap feeders, and he's just like, he doesn't really say too much, really. He kind of just scolds them and just be like, "You do not talk to
Hmm.
my brother like that," and then he's also
Yeah, I
just
guess,
thinking for himself, like,
which is what Daemon does.
yeah, he's a
Like,
shithead. I mean, he was, dude. He did the whole standoff was a ploy. He was the first
yeah,
thing he said was like, "I don't see my brother here. Where's
right,
my
yeah.
brother?" Right?
It was, and that scene was so good, but I also thought in my head though, I was like, that was good that they added it, but it makes Damon like a whole look at me, look at me, look at me kind of
Like a
guy.
little baby,
But
like
Was never like that.
not,
He was more or
yeah.
less like, okay, my brother's king, whatever. I'm gonna go do my own thing. But when it comes to my brother, I'm never gonna betray him. You all may think I'm the biggest douchebag in the world. To you, I am.
I mean, he
But
is like that in the book. Yeah, he's
yeah,
very cocky and full of himself, but I don't get this like he's playing instigator type things. Like he's
right.
doing antics like this. And again, we are dealing with visual content, so it is like you have to see something to present like this
Also,
guy's a douchebag.
do they present Sir Otto as Allison as Sir Otto's niece or as his daughter in the show? I want to say I thought they presented it as his niece, but it's in fact his daughter.
It's his
I just wanted
daughter. I
I
think
wanted to get a
so.
refresher on that, but yeah, it is his daughter, which is interesting because oh, man, see, they did a really good dynamic of having these scenes with Viserys asking everybody. I thought that was great because I thought, especially his choice at the end was really good. I mean,
A lot
it
of people
wasn't
did not
sh-
like that, as a matter of fact.
it
People were
was what
very
happens.
upset. They were like, it's happening too fast. How does he know?
Ah,
Like, the problem is, Rob, they were saying, is how does Viserys, how is he in love so quickly? And I don't
oh,
think that this is an in love situation
e-
yet.
yeah, yet.
You
But
know?
what's also interesting too is they're obviously going to time jump in the next episode because we said
Oh,
they
yeah.
were going to because they're gonna try to get to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Because for our audience, basically, what you want right now, because what they're building up to is, I guarantee it will start to slow down when they get to Rhaenyra's kids and Allison's kids, and when their dynamic starts to play out, because that's when the real drama really starts. Is because those kids have history with each other. Aemon One Eye. Why he becomes One Eye is because one of Rhaenyra's kids basically, they're roughhouse and sword fighting, takes out his eye, sticks a diamond in instead, or I think it's a sapphire. But that's
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
it's
something.
yeah, he's just like real nice. He's like, I'm gonna be a player with this. But basically, and he claims Vagar. And this scene, I was actually a little confused. I wasn't sure if this happened because did Vagar leave originally? I want to say she didn't. I want to say she never left.
Yeah, I don't remember her leaving or something that dramatic of her leaving.
Because in the show so far they show that they say that Vagar is gone, but it never no she never left. Yeah, Vagar actually never left in the original Dance of Dragons. So Vagar apparently is going to come back sometime during. We might even see Vagar in the next season. That might actually even be the end of the episode is when Vagar comes back because it's a huge ass dragon.
It's a yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big moment, dude.
Um. So that's the other notable thing I realized in the show that hasn't really that's changed. But so far, I think the show's brilliant. I think it is. I think it's just as so far, and I think because we we said this too in the original. Don't focus on that stupid prophecy that has nothing to really do with this story right now. And they didn't do that in this season. Thank God. I loved also the scene between Rhaenys and Rhaenyra. I thought that was a great scene. I'm glad they put those two actors and those two characters together to have that conversation about, she's like, they spurred you, but they bent the knee for me. And she knows what's coming. She knows. Rhaenys knows. Rhaenys is huge in the war. Um, I don't want to say how she bites it, but basically it's not very good.
Yeah.
um, but so far, I'm very happy with the show. I actually give this last episode for being a filler.
Hmm.
I give it an 8 actually. I know I gave the
Okay.
first episode 7. I give this one an 8. So far it was really good. I was really impressed. I'm looking forward to the War in the Stepstones. See, that's where I think this show's really going to pick up. I think it's going to take a
Yes.
long time with the war because I guarantee you their thought process in this was how can we beat the original seasons of Game of Thrones?
And what was the
And
best thing about the Game of
the
Thrones?
battles, the action
Battles.
scenes, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. People, like a famous person once said in um, goddamn Gladiator was people want battles. They want battles. That's
But
what
it's
they want to
true.
see. That's what they want
It's
to see.
very true. Every
Are you not
battle,
entertained?
yeah, and it's so we have the dragons. We have and they're kind of just lying in wait. So people want to
Right.
see things that lead up to it. Like you said, I'm gonna give this one also an 8. I really, really liked with this. I like when they are actually setting things up. The
Hmm.
tones, the characters are being fleshed out. Things are
That,
moving a little quickly. That's the only thing I have. Like the whole time jump of how like Daenerys
but the
got
Rogue
to there.
Prince
So
runs is quick too. It's a short book. It's only like I think like maybe less than 100 pages.
yeah,
That's
so
it
that's what I was thinking too, Rob. Like, is it like a short story? But I mean, it's a
is a short
noticeable.
story.
Yeah. So, but still, I don't know, man.
It's like the prequel to a prequel.
Yeah, right, dude. I know, bro. I don't know, man. That whole Stepstone thing. I'm thinking about it now. I'm just hoping that that's where they kind of blow their low, dude, because this is
Slow it down a
where
little bit.
slow it down. You've already gotten people's peaking of interest. Now you really hit them hard with this battle, especially for season 1. You can't screw this up, dude. This
Right.
is where it's way too important. I think they kind of realize that. Just the time jumps are a little like much. I hope we don't see too much of that. That might actually be a problem where you might see something happen
Yeah.
and then now this has happened. It's like you didn't show that on television. It's like why? I don't know.
I think it'd be
We'll see.
good. I think it'd be good as long as we don't get too much into the. I want to say bogged down in trying to connect the two series. I think it would be good. I think it's going to be good as long as they keep this its own thing. You know what I mean?
They can't. They're gonna do something where they're gonna bring in some. They already brung in the Starks and what's his faces, so they're already there.
Watch. It's going to be right there in the middle, right at the last battle. Two dragons just going to come in, start blowing each other.
That's how. That's how those dragons actually don't exist in the modern day Game of Thrones. It's because they came together and then they totally just petrify. I mean, we are
Uh,
going to see two dragons come together, though, for sure.
yeah, we're also going to see what I can't wait to see. I hope they depict it correctly. Is when they actually get the dragon seeds. Basically,
Oh
our
yeah.
audience, a bunch of people that aren't dragon riders to ride wild dragons, and a lot of them get eaten by the wild dragon.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah, they gotta, dude. They have to include those
They should make it a
scenes.
montage. Like
Next, because like the dragons like
push it to the
flip and
limit.
grab them and
It's
eat
like
them.
out of nowhere, just some modern music. Push it to
No.
the limit.
Get the
Limit.
South Park guys to sing it. Gonna be a montage.
Be a montage.
Get you
Even
started.
Rocky had a montage.
Yeah, dude. Freaking six
All right,
show so far though.
pretty good. All right, our audience. So that's going to be the Real Sharks breakdown of episode 2. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please listen, like, and subscribe, and smash that like button. And we hope to catch you on the flip side of the next Game of Thrones episode, which will be episode 3. So this is your host, Rob and Steve, saying later.
Later.
So, hold on real quick.